Ladies and gentlemen, we are deep into the election season, from national elections to state elections and everything in between. But the really important ones for us are the local ones, the local elections. And we have a guest today that is running for the Okaloosa County Commission, District 5. Her name is Mary Ann Wines. And so we are very glad to have Mary Ann and Connexion's Making Connections interview show. Good morning, Mary Ann. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good morning, David. Thank you so much for having me on. This is such an honor. I appreciate it so much.
We appreciate you coming on a Sunday. I know church, I just went to church and I had some great word, I'm sure, from your pastor or reverend. And so now let's talk a little bit about you, Mary. And there may be obviously people that are watching that do not know you. I know you've been in the area for a long time. You're a local, as they say, and many people know Mary Ann because you have done some great stuff throughout the years.
Thank
Just
you.
tell us a little bit about you overall as a person and some of your experiences and career.
Okay. Well, as you said, I've lived here my entire life. I'm a local. My mom said that when they moved here, there was only one traffic light in Fort Walton Beach, if you can imagine that. So now, I've watched a lot of growth. I've gone to school here. I'm a product of Okaloosa County Schools. And then I got my BA degree in accounting. And when I returned from college, my first job when I got back to Fort Walton was to actually do condominium and county audits. And so I got to be an auditor for Okaloosa County. So that gave me a really good in-depth look at the county and its operations and that type of stuff. And I was 21 years old when I did that. Also working for the CPA firm, I also got to set up businesses. And so I realized that I had a good set of skills for that. And so my husband and I, Captain Kelly Wines, we set up several businesses, including the Destin Fishing Fleet, and of course my real estate office. And then we've had 10 boats, and which they called us the cartel. So we own that. And we've sold most of our boats now. We're down to only 9 businesses, and most of them are small. Our primary ones are the big party boats and the marina, and of course the real estate brokerages. And so I have. Kelly was fishing 7 days a week. He was gone. He ran 12-hour minimums. So I was the one who stayed back and ran the payroll, the employees, all the businesses, all the problems, raised the kids. In fact, almost like a single mom, because like I could call him and say, "Hey, can you come do such and such?" Because he was out
I
in federal
understand.
waters. I mean, he was out of the country, so he was gone, and he'd come home about 7. He'd leave at 5 in the morning. He'd come home about 7 o'clock at night, and he'd be tired. I understood that because I've been fishing, and it wears you out. I don't know
Oh
how
yeah,
he
wears you out.
I don't know how he does it. He says he doesn't know how I do it, but on land it's a whole lot easier. But and then I like to get involved, and so I was going to all the city council meetings. I was involved in a whole bunch of city committees. And when I was about 25, I said, one day I'd love to run for public office. And he said, "Yeah, you'd be really good at that." And I said, "Well, I just want to get a little bit older." And then I said, when I feel like I'm old enough, I'll do that." And so when I was about 35, I thought I saw the opportunity. And so I was kind of looking at the landscape, and I thought this would be a good time for me to run. And then Kelly came home one day and he said, "Hey, we need to talk." And I said, "What's up?" And he said, and I figured we were going to have to buy another boat. I was like, "Oh my gosh, here we go." But it wasn't that. He said, "I want to run for city council." And I went, "You what?" And he said, "I want to run for city council." And I said, "Baby, you're gone 12 hours every day, 7 days a week." I go, "The only time you ever have free time is in the wintertime." And I said, "I just don't know how you do it." I said, "I'm on 5 city committees." I said, "I'm involved in the community. I'm involved in the chamber." I was going to run. I go, "Remember we talked about it?" And he said, "Well," he goes, "you're a lot younger than me. You've got plenty of time." He goes, "Why don't I go ahead and run now, and then you can run later?" And I said, "Okay," because I was busy and I did have kids to raise. And of course, he had kids kids to raise too, but it didn't really fall on him because he was always gone fishing. So, son of a gun, he ran and he did a great job, and I was really proud of him. And then next thing I know, he runs for county commission, and he did a really good job, and I was really proud of him. But I still had that in my heart. I still, I still wanted to do it. And so when he finished, when he decided he was done being a county commissioner, I was going to go ahead and run. And then he changed his mind and he said, you know what, I think I'm going to do it for 4 more years. And I said, okay, fair enough. So he he geared up and he was going to run, and then all of a sudden he decided one day he wasn't going to run. So then we wound up supporting Mel Ponder to run because Mel's phenomenal.
Great
And
guy. Yes.
so I thought Mel was going to run another 4 years, and so I thought I had 4 more years before I would run. But I always had it in my heart that's what I wanted to do. So when Mel decided to give up his seat this year, I really wasn't prepared because it was so unexpected, and so I had all these things going, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. I've got too much going on. I'm not prepared. And then I thought, well, you know what? Who is prepared? No, nobody knew he wasn't going to run. And I thought, I can do this. If I can't do it, who can? And so I went ahead and I threw my hat in the race. And I'm so excited. I love this county. I've always loved this county. I've always served this county in a lot of different, capacities. And so I just thought, this is my time. I'm 63. I'm finally old enough to run, and so I'm moving forward with it.
There you go. So as a local, obviously, and as you mentioned, also both from the professional perspective, the personal, caring for the community that you've had, being a local and experiencing all these things, and then the close connection, obviously, to people like your husband. In the case of the politics side, obviously, I'm not talking about the personal side because of the experiences that he has had with that, and then supporting great people like Mel Ponder. Your time has come and got inspired by all those different things, to finally do it. Uh, how do you plan to make a difference within the county itself, within the county commission, on behalf of your district, on behalf of the overall county, if you
Well,
are elected?
I represent most of Destin and almost all of Niceville. There's a small part of Niceville that I don't represent, and all of Alpena is not in my district. However, any vote I make is going to impact the entire county. So although I advocate for my district, I need to be aware of what's going on in the entire county, which I've been doing. And so I think I think the best way for me to make a difference is that being an independent business owner, I've always had to be sort of courageous. Every decision I made fell on my shoulders. It was for me to research and make the right decision and then carry it out. And it's the same thing in real estate. Real estate closings don't just happen. Customers don't realize all that we do behind the scene. When we show up at the closing and people tell me that was the easiest closing I've ever had, and then I just kind of smile and I'm battered and bruised and bloody and just trying to hold up at the table, but they don't know all the work that we do, and I try not to let people know and scare them with all the stuff that's going on. And my job is to get them to the closing table. And that'll be what I
There you
bring
go.
to the county, the ability to get things done. I can get the county to the closing table and maybe even do things that other people aren't able to do just because I am so tenacious.
There you go. And Marianne, in your opinion, what are the top three, let's say, issues that are facing Okaloosa County right now?
Well, traffic, obviously, workforce housing in the South End is a very big deal, and the child care crisis is kind of impacting the entire
Mhm.
community, especially the military. And so
Yes.
those are the three things that I really want to focus on. There's a whole lot of things that I plan to focus on, but those are probably the top three if I had to pick
Yeah.
three.
Let's let's start with a housing piece. What kind of things or what would you do to promote workforce housing, for example, which I think is one of the major problems that exist in our county?
It truly is. And the thing that really bothers me about the way some of it has been handled in the past is that they give out these grants and they do these special loans, and somebody benefits. They and some people even stack up the grants. They'll get a grant to buy. They'll get a grant to make improvements. But then when they sell, they make this big profit. And it
Hmm.
was it was done with grants, and all that money is just poof, it's gone. And that's not right. Or maybe it goes into the developer's pocket. Maybe they got these grants, and then when they sell, the grants are gone. I'd like to see something more sustainable. We can probably use a community land trust, maybe deed restrictions. There's a lot of different mechanisms, but what I want to ensure is that when we put the workforce housing in place, that it sticks and that it remains workforce housing, and that the prices can remain low. And maybe the deed restrictions are that it can't increase in value over X amount of dollars, because the people that buy in, surely they should be allowed to make a profit, but they also shouldn't be able to recoup all that money back. It needs to stay workforce, and it needs to be maintainable. The other thing about workforce housing is that we need to keep it safe. So we need some sort of a program in place to make sure that it doesn't become, like you hear about things in big cities where there's maybe more crime than there needs to be. So we want to make sure that's part of it. And then also we want to make sure that this is a beautiful area. We don't want anything that's not representative of our area. So we want to make sure that it's pretty. And I know that just sounds kind of fluffy, but I think it's important to the residents that already live here that everything really looks good and everything is pleasing. Lastly, I'd like to see that the workforce housing, there's a big fear that it's all going to be thrown up at the north end. I think it needs to be down at the south end. And Eglin is working with the county right now on some orphan parcels that I think that we
Right.
can probably use to put the workforce housing on. And if we use those, and if we use things like the Live Local Act, and because we might have to change some zoning and stuff like that, and then we tie it to the Hometown Heroes loans, those are the people that would qualify for the sustainable, the I mean the sustainable workforce housing. If we put all those together, I think that we'll be able to hit a home run with it. And this is one of the first opportunities we've had to really make that go. So my real estate background and my knowledge in getting development orders and all that type of stuff, because I do commercial and real estate. I mean, commercial and residential real estate. So I have some pretty good background knowledge to help with all that.
Yeah, so these orphan parcels that are available, are you saying that we should be using those to support the efforts to make things better as it relates to the availability of homes at a good price, I guess,
Yeah, well,
that's affordable?
if we can either buy those parcels from Eglin, or if we can lease them long term from Eglin, either way, it'll be a win. We'll have the ground in place, and then we just have to do the building, and we'll use some grants and stuff for that. I don't know that necessarily that the county needs to maintain ownership and stay in the housing business, but if we put it into a trust, then community trust, we should be able to have the teeth in it to keep it sustainable. And that's important.
Right. And you mentioned another of the items that you thought was a major issue was childcare, especially for the military. What kind of solutions do you have or suggestions in making that better?
Well, there's an organization called the Early Learning Coalition, and they do
Mhm.
a whole lot of good out in the community. But when you find funding for them, there are grants out there that double their funding, and so that they go in and they create these VPK programs, and they also do certifications for teachers, and which helps add additional classrooms. So as we add more and more classrooms, then the crisis alleviates itself. So I'll be a big advocate for that. And the VPK is great, getting the kids ready for school. So the
Sure.
school readiness is a big component. You'd think that component might fall on the school board, but the county commission can actually help with that by supporting the Early Learning Coalition. And so I'd absolutely be an advocate of that.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, different entities working together, whether it's the school system in certain things, obviously the board of county commissioners supporting certain things, and we all each entity has its own responsibilities. But the bottom line is, we are a community that has to work together and support each other in
Well,
whatever
the health,
efforts.
safety, and welfare of the citizens is one of the paramount responsibilities of a county commissioner. So being out there in the public, being able to, meet with the people and having the right connections, which I have, is gonna help make me a better commissioner.
Bottom line, exactly. And obviously, as you're mentioning, the issues are housing and transportation and childcare and all that. So it's all related to the growth that's occurring
Right.
within our community, and that obviously also includes infrastructure. So, what do you consider the most pressing infrastructure needs of the county?
Well, we've all sat in traffic. Destin's a hard part of the puzzle because my cat is about to walk into the screen. This
That
is
is fine.
this is one of the things
That,
I need to tape him to
that's
the
right.
wall.
Zoom live. It's fine.
I have a funny meme where the cat's taped to the wall, and Cooper, you're about to get taped to the wall. But he spotted Mama, and he said, "I'll come investigate." But no, the transportation is a big part of it, and so I'm excited to. I want to get appointed to the TPO, the Transportation Planning Organization, and and see what I can do to help with the long term planning, and hopefully maybe pull some projects up a little bit faster because there are, there's Triumph money, there's the half-cent sales tax money, lots of things that we can use, and we've already done, not we, they have already done so much with that half-cent sales tax. So Cooper, stop it. So I'm excited to get on the TPO, and they'll know I've come to play. Let's just say that.
That's right. Obviously, Destiny is one of the major areas that is affected by the growth, obviously, traffic and all those kind of things. Uh, we have the new bridge coming up from Fort Walton Beach into the Destin area. So there's a lot of good things taking place, right? But are
It's a
there
funny
some
story.
things that have not been thought about, or projects that you think should be considered in the near future? Because obviously we got to be ahead of the ball game. I think that's one of the problems that has occurred within the county, that there's been certain things that have been uh, left behind or not thought about, or maybe thought about but no action taken.
Sure. Well, it's
There's
like
some
the
things that
Mid-Bay
are
Bridge.
right now you think should be looked at, and hopefully start working on them.
They called the Mid-Bay Bridge the bridge to nowhere, and there was a lot of opposition to it. And but you see what a godsend it's been, and so we're so fortunate to have that. And bridges like that are going to be toll bridges. Now they did the 331 bridge without a toll. I don't know how they did it, but my hats off to Walton County for getting that done. It may be that we're going to need another bridge, but if we do, it's going to be a toll bridge. But so be it. That's fine. But I can remember as a little girl sitting at the foot of the Brooks Bridge waiting for the bridge to raise because it used to be a raised bridge. And so it was like a train crossing. The barriers would come down and you'd watch the bridge and it would raise up slowly. And then these big towboats would come, they would drive through, and then the bridge would come back down, and then the gate would open up, and then you'd go up over the Brooks Bridge if you wanted to go to Destin. And I can remember telling my dad, "Jump it, Dad, jump it, Dad." And my dad was like, "Yeah, if your mom wasn't in the car, we would."
Yes, I think those are all good things. Obviously, it did. I was talking to some of the old timers, like they were talking about ferry options and all that kind of thing. To go from
Yeah.
Fort Walton Beach into the Destin area, so there's a lot of different things that have been thought about in the past, and some of them have been tried, I'm sure.
Well, we actually did that after one of the hurricanes. When 98 got washed out on Okaloosa Island, we actually had to ferry people back and forth across. So that's, whatever it takes. It's just outside of the box thinking sometimes.
Right. So, bottom line, what would be your priority when it comes to the issue of growth in the county? Is there something that you're gonna, focus on? Obviously, among all the different things that you'll be doing.
Well, I know that some people are afraid because I'm in real estate and because I've helped with developments before, that I'm going to be very very pro growth and pushing the growth through. I will say that I am a big advocate of private property rights. So if you own a piece of property, I think you ought to be able to do whatever it is that it's zoned to do, and that should be your right. And just because somebody moved next door and your lot's been vacant for 20 years and they're used to it being vacant, I don't think that that should mean you can't build on it just because your neighbor would prefer it to stay vacant. So I'm always going to be an advocate of whatever it's zoned for. If you were allowed to do it when you bought it, you should continue to be allowed to do that. And so from that perspective, I see that growth is inevitable. Now in the north end, I'm not so much. I think what's happened with this North Okaloosa growth study is that people have just recently become aware of what the zoning actually is, and that's scaring them a little bit. And so I don't think that the county is probably going to come back and roll anything back, but I also am not going to be a big advocate of pushing more zoning forward. I think we need to keep the rural area. I think we need to reduce urban sprawl, and we need to plan to keep the growth together, because there's a new law out where they're disallowing septic tanks, and so that means running a lot of line, and in a lot of the north area, that's just not going to be practical. And so we're just going to have to we're going to have to let that be. Also, the farming area, the actual ag the part that has the right soil, the actual agricultural piece, I am going to fight with all my heart to keep that farming pure and um, not let anything get in its
Not
way.
affected by the not affected by that growth and or infrastructure and all those kind of things. Okay.
Exactly. And like as and of course I grew up riding horses. And so, to me, a horse farm is one of the very best things you can have. But I have learned that we don't really like to have horse farms next to farming, because horse farms don't want you to spray the pesticides. That had never crossed my mind. And I thought, well,
Yeah.
that's absolutely right. So really, even a horse farm isn't that compatible with farming. So we need to protect the farming, because one day it may be the farmers that are what's keeping us alive in this county, and we need to have them, and we need to make sure that that's there. So I will protect that with all my heart.
And the area is so beautiful and all those different things that it has, the south side with our beautiful beaches everybody wants to come to. And then I love driving, to be honest with you, up to towards the north side. I was driving towards Alabama a few weeks ago, and as I'm driving, going through the different towns, Crestview and others, and then Baker. uh, I just enjoy seeing green and open space and farmland and all those kind of things. So I think it's very important that it is maintained with some of those uh, things being untouched by, yeah, the
So
growth,
many of
obviously.
my
And so,
friends
so I,
have
so I
moved
guess
up north.
smart growth is what and balanced, right? Is what we should look for, you think?
You're right. You're absolutely right. We need to plan. We need to know where we're going, and we don't need to be doing special favors here or special favors here. We need to plan and stick to our plan. And there are times when you have to do a special adjustment, but I think maybe few and far between.
Yes. The county recently rolled out a $646 million budget for the
They
first time
did.
this
They
past
did.
July. I understand you were there, and why were you there, and what do you think about it?
Well, it's a $646 million budget, and I felt like if even though the current county commissioners are going to approve it, I'm going to be the one that's going to have to watch where it goes. And so I wanted to see what it was about, and so I was in there and I was taking copious notes, and it was kind of funny because at the end of the meeting it came for the public comment section. And Chairman Paul Mixon, he looks at me and he says, Marianne, would you like to speak? And I thought, oh my gosh, why is he singling me out? Does he think that like I want to come up and just like start running things or something? And I'm kind of looking around the room because the room was full of people. And as this is going through my head and I'm pondering why he would call me out, because he's a great guy. It's not like he's going to do something mean. And it was just puzzling. And then he chuckled and he said, well, you're the only one that's here from the public. He said, everybody else here is staff. He said, so that's why I'm asking you if you want to speak. And so I said, well, I have a lot to say, but I'm not going to take your time today. Thank you so much. And I did not speak, but I've been looking over my notes and watching everything. And it's interesting as I listen to all the department heads bring their part of the budget forward, because I've been meeting with all these department heads, and a lot of them I've already known. I'm friends with a lot of them, so it's been very pleasant meetings, but I'm learning so much, and they're very generous with their time, and they're bringing me up to speed, and giving me the ins and the outs and why they do some of the things that they do. And so I have learned a ton in just a couple of months, and I thought I had a pretty good understanding of what was going on, but what I've learned is the more I dig in, the more I need to learn, and so I'm going to keep on digging and asking questions. And the poor county attorney, I've got a whole list of questions built up for her. Can we do this? Can we do that? What about this? What about this? Because I'm very solution oriented. So when a department head gives me a problem, my business owner thought process is, how do we fix it? How do we overcome it? How do we get to closing, so to speak? So I have a whole list of questions for her. So anyway, I'm thinking already.
Mary, I'm a military retiree. I got here 19 years ago now. Glad to be here. Love it, love it. The small town, all those kind of things we're talking about, the beautiful beaches, the countryside that's nearby, and it's small town environment. People know each other and talk to each other, so it's just awesome, right?
Mhm.
Um, and the military being one of our major entities here as a industry
Yeah.
supports all of those and is also affected obviously by all of those things, the housing issue, the infrastructure issue, the transportation, and all of those things that we have spoken about. What kind of message would you like to send to any military person that is currently in the military, about to get out of the military, or is a retiree, soon to retire, whatever? Uh, what kind of message would you like to send as a leader of this region and possibly and hopefully a county commissioner?
We love you. We support you. Thank you for your service. We are honored that you're here. We're glad that you love this area. We're glad that you come back. From the time I was just a schoolgirl, so many of my friends were military, and so many of the people actually stayed for a long time. And I was the honorary commander in 2010 and 2011. The first year was with a Marine colonel, and then my
Uh-huh.
second year was with an Air Force colonel. So I was here when the first F-35 landed, and that I had the honor of being here for that, and that's why they carried me over a second year, is because they were supposed to come in 2010 and they didn't, so they carried me over. And so I've always had a fondness for the military. I've always been supportive of the military. I would do everything in my power to make sure that BRAC didn't take Eglin Air Force Base away from us. We need the military. We count on them, and we certainly respect all of our men and women who serve. And I would be an advocate for them.
Wonderful, wonderful. And before I give you a time to say a few words to people out there that have not decided who they're going to vote for and or are new, because there's going to be some newbies out there, some young men and women, that are going to vote for the first time. Uh, Tell us what sets you apart from your opponent?
Well, I'm a businesswoman. I sign the front of a paycheck and not the back of a paycheck. When I have to make payroll and rent and bills, it's all on me. It's on my shoulders. I don't have a multi-billion-dollar company that I can rely on. You know, I'm the one that stays up at night. I'm the one that has to have lines of credit in place. I'm the one that has to, if something, breaks down, I'm the one that has to have it fixed and be ready with a backup plan. So the other part is I'm very accessible. My real estate career and my passion for getting things done in the community. I've been in so many different leadership roles. I've been, chairman of the Destin Chamber of Commerce. I've been president of the Emerald Coast Association of Realtors. And I've been chairman of the Mid Bay Bridge Authority two different times. And I've been on so many committees and so many boards, I can't even name them all. But my entire life, my entire adult life. First thing I did was get involved, and I've stayed involved. And I have the ability to do that because I don't answer to anybody. I'm not employed by somebody who structures my time. I have the freedom to get out and be where I need to be and do what I need to do. And I plan to not do as much real estate as I've been doing. I plan to put that pull that way back, and that'll free up plenty of time to do the county commission. But I'll still be out and about doing the community stuff, meeting with the people, being accessible, because that's what we need to do. That's part of the job, is talking to the people and being accessible. I think my cell phone number is one of the worst kept secrets in Okaloosa County. I steal that line from the president of the Florida Association of Realtors,
I
who says,
understand.
but it's true. Most people have my cell phone number. That's okay with me. I'm used to working, all hours of the day and night. I get up early. I do go to bed early, but I don't mind a phone call. I don't mind talking to people. I'm always going to take calls. That's just who I am. Is I'm used to being available for people, and I'm the person that a lot of people call when they have a problem. People call me for all sorts of things. I mean,
That's
it's
because they
like
know you and they know that you are an action person.
they do. And so sometimes I think, how do I get myself into these messes? But I do, and I'm happy to help. So I jump in and do what I can. And I
Yes,
always
let thank you. Let me show you your website and your Facebook page before we finish it up with some final words. For people that want to learn more about Marianne Wines, you can find her website and obviously also in Facebook because we are all in social media, right? Uh, Let me show everyone your beautiful website here. This is Marianne's website, Vote Wines, WINDES.com. And if you are interested in learning what she stands for, beautiful picture of the family there and some of her experience, or because I'm sure there's many other things that she's done, is there.
then
And you
you have
also
to
want
get
to
updated.
participate as a donor to your campaign, they can do so through the website itself.
Sure.
And you are also in Facebook, correct?
Yes, sir.
There you
Yeah,
go. Let me see if
that's
I
Vote
can find
Wines too.
Mary.
Yeah, it's Vote
And let's
Wines.
see. There's your website. There's your Facebook page. Let me show that one here with the power of Zoom. And there's her Facebook page. So again, if you want to learn more about Marianne Wines, what she stands for, principles or values, and watch some video. I'm sure in there some pictures of the different kind of things because you've been all over the place. I'm sure for the last couple of months or more, and you got 3 more weeks to do so because we are on the 21st of July now, and
30 more
well,
days.
about a
I'm not
month from
counting.
now, about a month from now, everybody will go in and vote. And this is it, ladies and gentlemen. On the 20th of August, what's the timeline again, Marianne, as it relates to early voting? And then obviously the election on the 20th. Early voting is going on from when?
August 10th through August 17th, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then if you want to vote at your normal precinct, then you'll go on August 20th where you're assigned to go. But there's 5 locations in the county during early voting. And let's just say you live in Crestview, but you happen to be in Destin. You can during early voting, you can go to the Destin Community Center. It doesn't matter where you go during early voting to vote. You can go anywhere, any of the 5 locations. But on election day, on the 20th, you have to go to your assigned precinct.
Outstanding, outstanding. All right. Well, let's close it out with some final thoughts from you, some final words to that person that is out there that is not sure yet on who they want to vote for.
All right. Well, I've lived here my entire life. Okaloosa County has been good to me. I've raised my family here. It's been good to my family. It's my time to give back. I don't have any hidden agendas. I don't answer to anybody. I am, I am doing this for all the right reasons. There's nothing big that I want to come in and say Okaloosa County is doing things wrong. I think Okaloosa County is doing a lot of things right, but I think every county has problems and every county needs a problem solver. And that's who I am. I like to come in and I like to get things done and I like to make a difference. And so that's what I'll do for Okaloosa County and that's what I'll do for the citizens of Okaloosa County if you'll elect me. I need your vote on August 20th, by August 20th. And I hope you'll vote Marianne Wines, Okaloosa County Commissioner, District 5.
Outstanding. Well, thank you very much for being with us, Mary Ann. We appreciate you. And we also want to remind everyone out there that on the 14th of August, Conexión Media Group, our company, is hosting a meet and greet the candidates networking social. So what does that mean? Well, that means we're going to have the candidates that are interested in coming out there to join us and be greeted and meet the community that we invite to this event. But also, more importantly, we're going to have some special guests that are really going to tell you all about who they are, and that includes Marianne Wines. Marianne Wines will be there, sir, one of our special guests. Also, we will have Carrie Pitzer and David Schmidt and Sheriff Eric Aiden will be another one of our guest speakers at that activity. So we get to hear more about them specifically and what they stand for and what they would like to accomplish. And then the general public will also be invited. We do have a limited number of spaces. We want that place full, that's for sure. But we want you to pre-register because we don't want to overload it. And the staff of El Paso Mexican restaurant, that's where it's going to be, 14 August, El Paso Mexican restaurant in Mary Esther. And it's going to be from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Again, the important piece here is we want to get these candidates to come out and meet and greet the community that comes, multicultural community, the growing Hispanic community that we invite, and everybody else that wants to meet them. This is open to anyone. You're gonna have fun for sure because we are gonna make it a fun environment also, not just all about politics. But politics is important, and that's why we're doing it. So you're gonna have some door prizes. You're gonna have some opportunity to network, food, and we're going to have live music for those that want to stay a little longer and dance a little bit if they want to. Just a fun environment with an important piece, the political election that's going on, because that is, very important, obviously, for all of us and that live here. So we invite you to come out here. This has been a special edition of Making Connections interview show, a product of Conexión Media Group, and we have had the honor to interview Mary Ann Wines, who is running for County Commissioner for Okaloosa County. Thank you very much for being with us. We pray that the Lord continues to bless you and protect you all, and we'll see you next time on Making Connections.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Do you want to advertise to thousands of Hispanics and non-Hispanics in Northwest Florida, and Southern Alabama?
¿Quieres promover tu empresa y producto a miles de hispanos y no hispanos?
Connection is your most cost-efficient way to do so.
Conexión es tu solución.
We are the largest English and Spanish publication in our region. Our primary mission is to inform, guide, and educate our readers via interesting content.
Somos la publicación mensual en español y en inglés de la más grande distribución en toda la región. Además de las 5,000 copias en papel, tenemos activas las redes sociales, incluyendo Facebook, Twitter e Instagram, y también por Internet.
Conexión is your bridge to connect you to the growing Hispanic market in the region. Call us.
Llámanos.